Top Gear significantly inspired us at Nepal Drives, as it did most auto enthusiasts of our generation. Watching them drive hypercars around racetracks really made us dream. But honestly, being an automotive media company in Nepal, driving 1.2-liter petrol hatchbacks, it really didn't look like it was going to happen. Until now. But before we get into that, let's catch you up on what happened. Now, BYD took a couple of us from the automotive media and the influencer fraternity to China, where they proceeded to flex their muscles. Because as big as you think BYD is, it's bigger. And you only truly understand the scale of it when you see it for yourself. So let's start with DiSpace. Not a showroom, not a dealership, but a science museum for new energy vehicles. Built with an investment of nearly 200 million RMB spread across 15,000 square meters, BYD created this place to help the general public understand EV culture, technology, manufacturing, and green mobility. And honestly, walking around China seeing EVs absolutely everywhere, it really felt like the message was being received loud and clear. DiSpace itself almost feels like a glimpse into a future where car culture and technology culture become the same thing. And then came the BYD Museum. This part felt a little different. A little less future and a lot more reflection. They've preserved the old offices beautifully, showing you the evolution of what was once just a battery manufacturer to what is now one of the biggest automotive companies in the world. And the best part about it for me was that they didn't hide their failures. The early cars were heavily criticized. Their first car, codenamed 316, was rejected by dealers and openly mocked for its design. You actually see the negative reviews put up on their walls, very smartly I'd have to say, because as a visitor, with a button that says yes or no, you get to decide whether you want to continue the journey with BYD or not. Of course, you press yes, and then there's the big reveal of the BYD F3. It was the first self-developed sedan by the company, and it ended up breaking several records. It became the first Chinese brand to sell over 10,000 units of the same model in 1 month. And the rest, as they say, is history. A company that was dismissed as a copycat is now a Fortune Global 500 enterprise. 20 years, that was all it took. The museum was a look at the past. The factory catapults you to the present, or what feels like the future. The Zhengzhou manufacturing plant alone spans across 10.67 square kilometers. To put that into perspective, that's roughly 3 Thiruban international airports worth of factory. And inside it, perfectly organized synergy, 98% of which is completely automated. BYD has vertically integrated almost everything imaginable. Except for the rubber tires and glass, they manufacture everything within their own ecosystem. Unfortunately, we weren't able to film it, but even if we did, I don't think the footage would fully capture it. Massive robotic arms moving in complete unison, flipping giant steel frames around like toys, welding sparks flying across entire assembly halls, entire production lines moving with this eerie precision that almost didn't feel human. It genuinely felt like stepping into a sci-fi film. Like I said, it feels like you're walking into the future. But the only thing is, it's already here. Then came the track experience at the Zhengzhou all-terrain circuit. And this place was ridiculous. They actually built a sand dune, not a pile of sand. A Guinness World Record certified sand dune with 28-degree slope and 6,000 tons of sand, built to replicate desert terrain. Could you imagine that? And underneath the slope stood ready the Yangwang U8.
How do you feel? Amazing.
Amazing.
Really
Yeah.
fun.
I can't wait to do it.
As you could probably tell, I was very excited to have a go. Unfortunately, only 6 of us got a chance to experience it,
I can't wait to do it.
and the rest had to watch from the sidelines. Nevertheless, it was still a spectacular demonstration. There was also a low-friction circle that simulated icy conditions. The U9 took center stage here, and 2 Denza Z9 GTs did a delicate dance around it, showing its precision, finesse, and control. Until the drivers decided it was enough dilly-dallying and they gave us what we really wanted: burning rubber and screeching tires. The slalom course was another favorite for me. Cones mapped out a winding track on the ground, and I was behind the wheel of the BYD CO. Let's just say I didn't take it easy, as you can probably tell from my face. I did finally get to drive the U8 over the curated off-road sections, and it was the definition of unbridled confidence over these sections. However, the main point of being there was the U9.
Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take 2 when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm thinking of booze. 2-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take 2 when I'm thinking of you.
The Yangwang U9 is BYD's pure electric supercar. 4 motors, 1 at each wheel, producing a combined 1287 horsepower and 1680 Newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.36 seconds, a top speed of 309 kilometers per hour. And I would be driving it on the track. The track itself had 9 corners and a 550 meter straight, which for a car this fast seemed pretty short. But the first problem was that I barely fit into the car with my helmet on. I could see one of the instructors rushing in to see if I was struggling, and I was afraid that he would not allow me to drive the U9, and that was not going to happen. So I basically folded my spine in half and squeezed myself in. And then I was gone.
What I wanna make do. Take 2 when I'm thinking of you. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Breakthrough.
It was crazy, proper hypercar territory. And with nothing to really compare it to, it already sits right at the top of my experience list. But of course, the whole time I was very uncomfortable. I wanted to maintain racing lines, but when the accelerator doubles as a hyperspace teleporter, racing lines kind of go out the window. So I was basically flooring it and holding on for dear life. The corners came at me unbelievably fast. The car was doing its part, but I feel like I wasn't experienced enough for the speed. I mean, I was doing alright. I was correcting when necessary, keeping it together to the best of my abilities. But I wasn't hitting the apexes as consistently, and I was absolutely abusing the accelerator with zero finesse. And the sound. It has this strange whine, like you're in a sci-fi movie. When you're inside the U9, the outside world kind of disappears. All you really see and feel is the car and the track. It demands your attention, and if you don't give your full focus, it's very terrifying. I managed to hit 197 kilometers per hour before deciding that maybe survival was also important. Now, the U9 puts the performance part of electric performance vehicles into perspective. But every conversation about EVs eventually rounds back to practicality. Charging, range, convenience. And if we're talking about paradigm shifts in the world of new energy vehicles, then flash charging needs to be part of the conversation. 10 minutes to a full charge. A dozen swipes through your reels, a few long drags of your cigarette while contemplating life. That's all the time it takes to significantly charge your car. And in today's context, that is already mind-boggling. Add to that the rapid expansion of charging infrastructure, and it becomes very difficult to ignore the sheer strength BYD now holds in the automotive world. For Nepal, it still feels like a distant dream, hopefully one that isn't too far off in the distance. For me personally, this experience was surreal. Over 13 years in the automotive journalism business, and this experience might top the list of everything I've ever done. This might be the pinnacle, but maybe it's not. If there's one thing this journey has taught me, is that you should always dare to dream.